carrier is to carry criminals, trading looters that are in government today, not a poor people.
We'll bring to you divergent views.
You know my position about his level of competence or otherwise.
On news making the headlines.
I didn't go to school so that people can intimidate me with their ideas, no.
Sometimes it gets confrontation. If you become governor, you're going to bring back Okada.
Of course.
You will bring back the market women back on the streets.
They don't put words into my mouth.
On Core Digest.
Stop making innuendos.
Every weekday, we'll bring all of these together and take them to the court of public opinion.
Everybody has a right in Nigeria, right?
Where you are the judge. We're turning our attention to security on the show this morning. No doubt Mr. President appointed a new set of service chiefs after sacking a former President appointed Major General Abayomi Gabriel Nishakin. We'll get used to that over time. As Chief of Defense Staff, Major General T.Y. Burutai as Chief of Army Staff, and we'll also have here Rear Admiral Ibukte Kwaibas as Chief of Naval Staff, as well as Air Vice Marshal Sadiq Abubakar as Chief of Air Staff. Now, there's a lot of controversy about whether the office or the position of the Chief of Defense Intelligence has been there before now, but looks like relatively new on the media, being announced publicly. We have Air Vice Marshal Monde Rico Morgan as Chief of Defense Intelligence and retired Major General Babangana Mogono as National Security Advisor. On the show today, we're looking at renewed Boko Haram attacks and the matters arising. And I'm joined by journalist and public affairs analyst YEMI SAKA. Good morning and thank you for finding time to come.
Good morning. It's nice to be here.
All right, let's start with the new appointments. There are many who are saying that the present presidency or presidential administration is rather too slow. One would have thought that there would be a sudden change in leadership if the Nigerian military would have a new course. Do you buy the same idea?
No, I differ. I would like to differ from that line of school of thought because of some personal reasons, and I would like to bring it to fore. It's a military. It's kind of a military strategy when General Muhammadu Buhari came on board and kept the service chiefs in their place, because they created a mess. And if they just sack them or pull them out and bring some new guys on board, they will not be able to perform. It needs to work with them, understudy them, gather enough information about the situation again, because it was president-elect, it was not the commander-in-chief. So it needs to see their books, it needs to ask for the school papers for what this series of campaigns and operations they've been having. And with that, it was enough for him to decide this is the right time for you to go. And at the same time, give those service chiefs an opportunity to, like a bit of restitution, redeem your image, do the right thing. Pull out with at least with a face-saving tactics or probably antics or performance, but they never did.
Well, beyond all of that, one is also beginning to consider how it happened and for how long it took the president to make this happen. But let's look at the responsibilities, as it were. Even before we get there, you notice that on social media, many people are talking about the ethnicity of these people. There's been this insinuation that the appointments made thus far has not satisfied the federal character. What are your opinions with this new list?
Well, when it comes to military as an institution, that's where I believe they don't see themselves as either Yoruba man, Hausa man, Igbo man, or Efik or why. They see themselves as Nigerians. And they don't see themselves as Muslims or Christians. They see themselves as Nigerians. I'll cite an instance. Anybody, ex-serviceman, anybody that passed through the NDA will tell you it is mandatory for you to know your classmate by his first name. Nifemi, Tayo, Azan, Abubakar. And it's even mandatory for you to worship in the mosque and church in the NDA. It is that is the tradition with the NDA. So it's not about where they are coming from. And these guys were not chosen because they were Northerners or because they were Muslims or because they come from North. It's because they were professionals. And in hierarchy, and if you look at the command structure of the military, probably they are actually in the command structure, and they merit it. Because I cannot come and pull somebody that is probably a military attaché to the Nigerian embassy in New York, or probably because he's from Southeast, and not specifically Southeast, I have to go. He's not in the command structure of the military. So let's go back to history. That was what made Late Ojukwu lose out, when Akinwonsi was killed. That was what made Jeremiah Oseni lose out when General Sani Abacha died, because they were never in the command structure of the military. So let's get that right. Why there are people not in the command structure, I cannot say. But those people, this appointment is made based on the fact that these guys were in the command structure of the military. You have in the DHQ from the chief of army staff, then the garrison commanders, then the AOBs or the FOBs, commandants. So that's how they go. That's how they do the appointments.
I understand there's been a defense intelligence department within the Nigerian military, but this is probably the first time we're having a name in the open glare as the chief of defense intelligence.
Well, if you look at the 1999 Constitution, provisions of it, that might be an aberration to it. We don't know where that's coming from. We've never witnessed or experienced that. The Constitution does not provide such office. But you want to look at, fine, doctrine of necessity, with Nigerian clamors and cry at any point in time, it's expected. There's an office, there's Directorate of Intelligence and Information, there's a Directorate of Intelligence in the military, there is DIE, there's Directorate of Air Intelligence, there's the DMI, there's the even you have the Naval Intelligence, DNI. But this, like, now we want to have a coordinated, or probably an office coordinating the affairs or the activities of these agencies. But now we have DMI. Is the DMI, the head of the DMI, is it going to be, are you trying to tell me it's going to be subordinate to the Chief of Defense Intelligence? We need that office, we know we do. But now we have to look at the architecture. How do we go about it?
I spoke with a retired colonel earlier who talked about how skeletal the intelligence directorate is to the operations of the Nigerian military and probably should have been kept behind cameras.
Well, I don't know where it's coming from, but I will tell you that even during the military era, the DMI was very active, and even in the last 4 or 5 years, they've been active. I could tell you that some of us know that they've been the one coordinating the fight against insurgency. Well, that was when DSS lost its glory and its sense of responsibility, and I think DMI took it up. I know there's a Nigerian Army intelligence school. And that's where they send these guys to get when you're in the NDA, you're given an aptitude test to test your IQ. If your IQ falls between the limits of those that they believe should be in the intelligence corps, they pick you, they send to Nigerian Army Intelligence School, and that's where they train you. So it's been there, it's been vital, it's been strong, and it's efficient. That much I can tell you. Why they've not been functioning in the last 5-6 years, probably we should ask the last administration.
Prior to the sack of the former service chiefs, the position really was that the renewed suicide attacks we've witnessed across board, especially in northern Nigeria, has been a result of the fact that they are actually winning the war against insurgency, and it's just Boko Haram reverting to the initial suicide attacks. Well,
I will tell you this. When the Commander-in-Chief gave that directive, relocating the C-Square Center to Maiduguri, that's the Command and Control Center to Maiduguri, and it was not carried out, executed until 13 days thereabout after, I told a lot of people, I went on social media, and I said, we'll end up winning the war on insurgency, but not on terrorism. That's easy to say. Excuse me, these are the people behind these attacks, because you're giving them enough opportunity to leave where you've caged them into the cities. And I came up with an intelligence analysis. We should expect attacks all over Nigeria. That is if it is Boko Haram as being speculated. But you now ask yourself some questions. The so-called Shekau has not come out to claim responsibilities for any of these attacks. You should be wondering why.
Are you considering whether he's actually dead the way the Nigerian military reported?
No, Shekau, which of the Shekau is dead? That's the question we should be asking ourselves. Which of the Shekau is dead? Because the last Shekau that we all saw after the Chibok girls' adoption when some of us carried out an analysis of the tape we released. This guy is not even of an Hausa extraction. Probably just somebody that could speak the language very well. But if you look at the tonation, it's not a typical Hausa man. So we're asking who created this Shekau.
Is it really a function of the personality of Shekau? Because Boko Haram indeed released a new video with a new leader apparent in the video. Of course, not Shekau.
Not Shekau, probably, but there could be only one reason why the Shekau is not there. The Shekau could have relocated, could have abandoned ship, could have been killed, could have moved to the next stage, could have, okay, fine, I've made enough money, I've done with my business, okay, let me just hand down the guard, the chain of command to who else want to take it up. But now, another vital question to ask ourselves is this. In the last 3-4 years, the Boko Haram has not been attacking churches or mosques. Then why now? We should be, why do we have this increase in attacks when it was obvious that there was going to be a dismantling of roadblocks? There was going to be a change in the concept of operations of the fight against insurgency. We should ask ourselves questions. We should not just look at Boko Haram. We should even look within, because there's enemy within. Should it? I'm sorry that I'm going to get a bit speculative here. Everybody is a suspect. The service chiefs, the ex-service chiefs are suspect. Even the paymaster of the Joint Task Force operation is even a suspect, because the money must keep going. You have to justify your budget for the insurgency. So these are things we should ask ourselves. I tell people, the best way to start this, we start this war from within. Subject everybody in the last administration, even the present administration, to a polygraph test. They will fail it, and you know the enemy within. And you start by dealing with them. You can't tell me this is just about war. It's not about Boko Haram. Boko Haram to me has been orphaned, because some of us believe it goes beyond political. It's economical. People tell me that the north is a virgin or a barren land. There's probably Borno State is full of minerals. So we should ask ourselves questions. We should discard. We should not discard. We should not play side by side intelligence analysis of other people. And with that, we get to a point where we can marry all these things together and get to the roots of this problem.
President Muhammadu Buhari and his entourage of a meeting with the U.S. President Barack Obama on the 20th of this month. It's not the first time we've been talking about international efforts at helping Nigeria solve its own problem. Is this a right step in the right direction?
Yeah, it's a right step in the right direction, because we found ourselves in this mess. We shouldn't have gotten to this stage. It got this bad when some people felt it is them killing themselves. If they're seen as a Nigerian problem, it wouldn't have gone out of hand. It got this bad when a commander-in-chief that never realized his functions and his powers as commander-in-chief relied on the advice of a former chief of army staff, that is Azubike Ejirika, that he should dismantle the JTF and just allow it to be a solely army operation. And I ask myself a simple question. The army wants to move into an area, a target area where they believe that these insurgents are hiding or hold up. You need a close air support. Are you trying to tell me now that before you get the close air support, you have to call the base commander, the AOB in Maiduguri? The AOB in Maiduguri, if he wants to get so official, will tell you, I need to send a signal to the chief of air staff. The chief of air staff might want to frustrate you further and say, for me to release this Alpha jet for you, I need to get the clearance from the CDS, because there was an infighting among these guys. Who is going to dictate the operation? Who is going to control the budget? Who is going to control the financing? Who is going to come up with the scope paper? And so these are things that messed up the last administration. And the commander-in-chief there was just one person that didn't know. He was the commander-in-chief.
I understand that there were challenges working with foreign agencies and international community as regards fighting Boko Haram at the time. But to what extent do you feel safe to allow the West, to be precise now, to join forces with Nigeria in the ongoing war against insurgency?
Well, if you all believe that Boko Haram has played allegiance to ISIS, with what the the insurgents have been doing in Nigeria for the past 5 years, there should be a sense of funding. There should be a source of funding where it's coming from. It doesn't have to. It's not going through some banks in Nigeria and some wire transfer. There's going to be a little bit of international collaboration, international funding. You could trace it. It comes from, and that's why I tell you that if you want to stop terrorism or probably any out of criminality, you clamp down seriously on drug cartels and activities, because that's where the money comes from. So probably we need the American government, probably through the CIA and what are the FBI, to give us a paper trail of some suspicious accounts, transactions that could actually identify or let us narrow down the list of suspects of the Boko Haram sponsors. So that is what we're looking at here. That is why I believe they need America for. You cannot bring the American Special Forces to Nigeria here to perform any operations, because we have different rules of engagement. The Nigerian army that I know we want to believe, let's go in there and clear it out. The American government want to believe, let's just go by the United Nations Convention, bring out the megaphone, warn the hostile crowds, try to separate the women and children from the hostile crowd and shoot. The Nigerian army doesn't have time for such. We want to get there, get the business done and move on to the next stage or next phase. So there will be a clash or there will be a conflict of one set of operations there. So probably the only thing we need therefore is just give us your intel, give us the...
Are you saying there's any possibility that the funding might be coming from the West?
Well, the funding might not be coming. The funding might not be
some.
coming from the West, but the funding might be passing through the West. Because somebody has to. There has to be a trail. We don't print dollars in Nigeria. We print naira. We don't print euros. We don't print pound sterlings. We don't print Dutch mark. It has to come from somewhere.
For a while now, we've seen some level of cooperation working together between neighboring West African states, Nigeria, Niger, Chad, and the rest. Is this beyond what these countries can do together?
Well, it's not. It's not.
Form of it?
It's not because it's not what this country. It's not beyond what this country could do together. And, well, we said increased collaboration because they know this one man that has been there, that I cannot sell bullshit and is going to swallow it. So probably this one man that said, this is what I want to do, I want to protect my integrity, I want to protect my sovereignty, and you have to do it my way. Is my way? Is that my way or no way? The last administration messed up a lot of things. There's no one talking about this mess we have without eating hard on the last administration. And it was more of money-making venture for them.
Well, there are other people who would tell you that towards the end of the last administration's tenure, we saw a total clearing of the attacks subsided relative to what we have now.
Well, if you want to go along that line of it, that means that indicates the gap, the past administration, the more.
How do you mean?
Because if you can't do that, excuse me, you can't do that in 6 years, and you're doing that in 6 weeks, that means you guys know what you're doing.
Could it be also that we are seeing the result of what they have tried doing over the period while they were in government, and then we just saw it showing some fruit towards the end of the administration?
Excuse me.
Bless him.
It's like, excuse me.
Just take some time out. Let me open the phone lines for you so that you can join. You can please get water for my guest studio. And of course, you can also open, let's open the phone lines and let's talk very quickly about what your opinion is as regards the renewed Boko Haram attacks and of course the matters arising. We're talking about the appointment of new chiefs. We're also talking about the involvement of the international community as regards all of this. Mr. President is scheduled to meet with the President of the United States later this month. There are many who are questioning to what extent really can we bring the Western world to bear on this peculiar challenge and situation. To what extent can we seek for help? And of course, are we really going to get them? When you call in, please turn down the volume of your TV set so I can hear you clearly. Hello, good morning. Good morning, what's your name and where you calling from? All right, I think we lost that. Please turn down the volume of your TV set when you call in. And of course, the moment your call is acknowledged, just go ahead with your contribution. Now, the other side of the story for many interested Nigerians would also be the submission of the Senate President as regards the appointment of service chiefs. He tweeted recently about the fact that there is no absolute need for the National Assembly to ratify these appointments, and that indeed is beginning to raise some dust. Hello, good morning. What's your name?
Good morning.
And where are you calling from?
Rashid from Gabon.
Rashid from Gabon. How is Gabon this morning?
Very nice. Thank you very much.
Please go ahead.
And before I go on with my comment, just please provide a mineral water for my friend who is Mr. YEMI, who is sitting good. And for this issue of Boko Haram, and dealing with all these neighboring countries that are surrounding Nigeria, it's very good because these Boko Haram people, when they come into the place in Nigeria, when our military are fighting them, they run back to all those countries to schedule themselves and come back to fight us. So we must bring all those neighboring countries
It's all right.
When it comes to them, they take everything, and that's what.
I'm afraid we lost that, but I also believe that you made your point, Rashid from Gabon. Make a shout out to you. He called you your friend. I hope that you also know that. But let's, as we wrap up this segment, let's talk about the position of the Senate President. He tweeted recently about the fact that there was no need for the National Assembly to verify or ratify, so to speak, the appointment made by Mr. President.
Well, I don't know. Maybe that's as a result of each knowledge gap on what's on ground, what's obtainable, because we know there have been a court judgment that says they have to be confirmed by the Senate. So I think he's human. He good. It's normal for him to hear. We should just let's move on beyond that. But at least if the president sends the list forward to him, he should as well do the needful by confirming those guys.
Let's take this last call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
What's your name and where are you calling from?
Yeah, I'm Mrs. Helen from Fatima Calabar, to be precise.
I didn't get your name, please.
Helen, Mrs. Helen.
All right, Mrs. Ellen from Calabar. Please go ahead with your contribution.
Please, mine is a question. The gentleman in the studio, good morning, sir.
Good morning, madam.
Yeah. This new service team, I believe they were in the military before now.
Yes, ma'am.
And they have been contributing to the issue of this Boko Haram and insurgency in the nation. And we have not seen results. Now they have now been appointed as service team, because in a living capacity. Are we saying there are other plans, strategies, ideas that they will now, profess that they have not professed before? Okay. Are we saying that they will bring a new strategy? I know that all high-ranking officers that have been contributing to the insurgency in the nation before now. Now that I made services, are we saying there is another tactic, another position, another way they will handle this issue of Boko Haram?
Okay. I believe you made it, but that question is clear enough.
Yeah, it's clear enough, and let me quickly answer that. Well, they've been in the military, but they were never the service chiefs. And the service chiefs are whenever the service chiefs, you had the chief of army staff, the chief of defense staff, the chief of air staff, the chief of naval staff, and the IG. If you check the third schedule of the 1999 Constitution as amended, we have the National Defense Council and the National Security Council. National Security Council advise the president on public safety. National Defense Council advise the president on security issues that borders with the sovereignty of the country. And these new service chiefs were never part of such council. Okay. By provision of the Constitution, they were not. You
are saying that their position was limited to.
If the one came from MENA, the signal colleges in MENA, one had been a retired major general, and there was so much certain instance because military is very delicate an institution. I imagine. Let me give you a scenario. I was a former chief of army staff. Before I became the chief of army staff, I was probably a lecturer in Jaji. You passed through me as a junior officer, a cadet, or probably junior div or senior div. I pulled out of the military, and later you are now the chief of Vest, or probably a garrison commander. You come visit and I tell you, what have you guys turned the army into? This was not the army we left behind. If you're going to report me to your commander-in-chief, I'm liable of treason because I've sowed the seed for you to tell me do something. And if you can as well pick up the gun and still want to say, okay, fine, I want to impress my superior, I want to impress my former boss or my former lecturer to tell me that the army can still do something. And I plan a coup. By virtue of that, the ex-general is liable of treason. So people get careful when they step into military matters. And another thing is this. Nigerians analyze military issue with little or no knowledge about the military. It's like this. Once the junior officer or the subordinate comes and stand up to a senior officer, they just is in a Thomas paper. The senior officer will just write that he has lost command and control, has lacks integrity and honor, and the guy will lose his commission.
I'm afraid we cannot totally exhaust this issue, and you probably will have to come again
no problem.
On Friday, give you a chance to talk more on this. And we're hopeful that this new appointments will only tell or will only will rather show Nigerians and help Nigerians to safety. And indeed, all of these incessant suicide attacks will be brought to an halt. YEMI SAKA is a journalist and a public affairs analyst. Thank you very much for finding time.
You're welcome. Call me Friday and I'll be here.
All right, we'll be back tomorrow with another exciting edition. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. Thanks for being there.
You can now watch Core TV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to Core TV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click Core TV, leave a space, then news. Core TV News, a 24-hour news station.